My name is Adrian Nantchev, and this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. So today, I'm joined with Shikha Dhawan to talk about what she's doing to be remarkable. So please, Shikha, tell the world, tell the audience, who are you, what are you doing, what's your story, and what difference do you want to see and are making in the world?
Thank you again for inviting me, Adrian. And it's such a hard question to answer, right? Like, who are you? What difference do you want to make in the world in like 3 minutes or so? But I'm going to do my best. I am an online business owner, so I have an online presence. I have a blog. I write on the blog. I create video courses online. I have a podcast. I'm one of those figures online that is trying to make a little bit of a difference through her writing and through her teaching. Not that I'm saying that I'm more wise or more knowledgeable than anyone else. I'm just maybe perhaps one step further ahead than most people, or I just have so much time on my hand that I'm able to learn more than other people do. And so I've been doing this for the last year and a half now, since March 2016. But I was a corporate person for the longest time. So I worked in the corporate field for 8 or 9 years in marketing and in other things. And finally, I realized I just don't like being or reporting to someone else. I wanted to report to myself. I wanted to spend my time not doing meaningless activities, but doing meaningful activities that mean something to me, even though they might not mean something to anyone else on this planet. And so I quit and I started this online thing and I started writing like an insane human being. I write 2,000-3,000 words every single day. And it is one of my greatest pleasures to keep on writing and to keep on putting all of these posts out there for the world to see, and perhaps for one idea to trigger something in someone's head and change their life in a minuscule manner, whatever it might be. Perhaps they'll start doing yoga, or they'll start meditating, or they'll start reading more, whatever it might be. It doesn't really matter. Just one little change can change an entire person's life. And so that's what my spiel is, what my thing is.
Oh, interesting. I like to write as well. Right now, I'm working on my second book, my second official book. I've written a few of the smaller books, all business books, non-fiction. This one is about marketing, oddly enough, as well.
Right.
And it's content marketing combined with inbound marketing, combined with psychology, kind of like some strategies and techniques that I've kind of realized and formulated over the past, probably since October as well, of 2016. Where it's how a business can create content that the audience cares about and loves, and it passes what I call the so what test. But also, once I've written that and done a few of the things and schedule and logistics, I want to start writing a few novels as well myself. Do some 10 short stories, and then do some some novels and trilogies or whatever. So oddly enough, recently I've been just doing a bit of research into how George R.R. Martin writes his books. And before that, I did some just blanket research, in like Freytag's Pyramid and the ancient Greeks. They had like that free pity, fear, catharsis, that kind of structure, stuff like that. Just to do some research, just planning ahead. But what is it you write about exactly? You mentioned Steemit and you mentioned blogging as well, a Medium as well. What do you write about?
So each of those mediums have a different theme to them. So my blog is all about spirituality and abundance, a lot about consciousness and becoming more aware and quantum mechanics, things like that. And then obviously Medium is my avenue for fiction. So I write short stories on there, poetry, and other stuff like that, similar to that, fiction mostly. And then Steemit is just to gather followers. So I read a lot of stuff on there similar to my blog, but less spiritual, because I find Steemit people are not as spiritual as the blog followers that I have. So it's all different.
Oh, interesting. With regards to Medium, how is that any different from having your own blog, your own domain? I can think of...
Sorry, go on.
Please elaborate.
Yeah, for sure. So Medium is actually an avenue for people who don't want to have a blog. I already do have a blog, but for me, I don't necessarily want to share my writing on my blog because my blog is very business-based. So Medium is my avenue to share my fiction. But a lot of people, what they do is that they don't actually have a blog and they just have a Medium page, and that works really well because Medium itself is really easy to create on. You can write really easily. You don't have to do a lot of SEO work. You don't have to do a lot of back-end work. The WordPress site that I write on, it requires a lot of coding, a lot of programming skills on the back end, which a lot of people are not comfortable with, right? So I recommend Medium to all those people who don't want to create a blog, who don't want to bother with it, but just want to write and get their writing out in the world. So specifically like for poetry and fiction, it's really good for that.
Is that like just the functionality the website provides, or is that like the existing user base just happens to be, as you joined, it just happens to be more friendly and consuming more fictional work?
It's odd. I feel like poetry and fiction is becoming more and more common nowadays in all of these sites. I'm actually surprised because when I first started the Medium 5 years ago or 4 years ago, when it first started, it wasn't as much about fiction, more about, blog post style. And now it's becoming more about poetry. It's just like 1 or 2 sentence poetry sometimes, just haiku sometimes. It's just really creative, and I just love it. I just love the fact that it's changing and kind of convoluting like that. I think it's based on the users that are coming in and sharing their stuff. But I have no idea. I'm not really an expert on that. That's what I feel like.
Well, that's all right, because I've been thinking about. I do a lot of just business stuff and entrepreneurial content, non-fiction stuff that I share online, blogs and videos and podcasts, and soon a few other stuff as well. And I was thinking I could use Medium. I could use Medium to just copy and paste my blog onto Medium, but then I'm thinking there's more to the strategy than that. I just don't know how. I haven't figured out how Medium works. What's the strategy behind it? And that's now I'm thinking after what you just said. I'm thinking, the story stuff. I didn't really think or realize that people on Steemit were not as spiritual. I agree. I've nothing to dispute that with. I thought that people on there were generally a bit more enlightened and a lot smarter and more open-minded to new topics and ideas. However, if Medium is a lot more specialized for more results on with fiction, then heck, that's a good way to go. Tell me more about the spirituality stuff that you're writing.
It's mostly to do with meditation. I started meditating about 7 or 8 years ago, and I've had so much insight into myself and into this world, into the way the world works, and into how I work and what I like, what I don't like. It's just so much insight, so much. I don't want to call it enlightenment, obviously, because that just has a negative connotation sometimes, but it's just general knowledge about myself. So much self-knowledge that I've been wanting to share that with the world. I've been wanting to share the joys of meditation, the joys of yoga, the joys of being connected to the universe, connected to your manifesting power, connecting to your true self, all of that stuff, right? And so I sit down every Monday and I think about how my week went and what do I want to share with my blog. So I write down basically what's going on with me and what's going on in my own journey, but in a format where people can learn from it, hopefully use something from it for themselves.
With regards to self-knowledge and meditation, what can you tell me about that? Are you talking like, is it transcendental TD meditation, or is it just asking the question, who am I?
It is just sitting in silence and stillness for a few minutes every single day, which is something that most people on this planet never do. You know what I'm saying? Most people they're always moving around, they're always doing something, they're always doing, basically. But when you sit down in silence or following your breath, being in your body, being in your mind, just for a few minutes a day, all of a sudden you get all this insight coming from your body, from your body's intelligence, from your gut, from your intuition, from the spiritual realm, from the collective consciousness, because you are slowing down enough that they can actually send you these messages, or these signals and signs can come to you. Otherwise, we're moving too fast to actually get these messages. We're moving too fast to actually know what's going on the cellular level or the spiritual level. So we're just always on the sensory level. We're always either doing something or eating something or moving or driving or watching something, all the time moving, And so slowing down really helps that process.
So would I be right in describing it as like slowing down your vibration of the cells and controlling your attention and awareness so as to connect with the universe, the world, and with yourself?
That's brilliant. That's absolutely perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you very much. Going back a tiny bit, you mentioned the yoga. There's many different kinds of yoga, like Raja yoga and Jnana yoga. What kind do you practice?
So my Vata, or my Ayurvedic personality, is very Vata, which means that I'm always really airy-fairy, and I'm always in my mind. So I do Yin yoga, which is a very slow format of yoga, where you slow down and you're doing it. You hold the poses for perhaps 5 minutes at a time, and you're doing very few poses, but you're staying deeper into them. So that's the kind of yoga that really balances my Ayurvedic type out. But different people do different things, obviously. I've tried Hatha yoga, I've tried hot yoga, but Yin yoga is the one that works the best for me.
Yin yoga. I'm not too familiar with that one. I'll look into that.
I really like it. It's really, for me, everything, because I'm a very type A personality, very perfectionist, always go, 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 go. So for me to be calm and to be able to stay in my body, to be present and mindful, it takes a lot of these random things like meditation, Yin yoga, journaling, all of that, right?
With regards to your personality, going back a little bit, maybe 30 seconds, you mentioned that you're very arty, fairy, and you're Advaita personality or Vedic personality. Could you elaborate on that, please, a little bit?
Of course. So Ayurvedic personality type is based on, it's like a 5,000-year-old personality type based on Indian style. So it's a Sanskrit thing. It's a long, long, long process. And what they do is that they look at your body type and they look at how you deal with the world, what you look at, how anxious you are, what's your personality like. And then they kind of put people into these 3 or 4 boxes. And so what my Ayurvedic personality type or body type is Vata, which is Vata, Vata, which is very much, we lose energy really quickly. We're always cold. We're usually very skinny. And we're always in our heads. So we're always very anxious and we're always moving and we're not able to sit still. We're not able to be calm. And then there's 2 others, which is Kapha and Pitta. And so Pittas are very intense, really a lot of fire in them, a lot of fire. And Kaphas are very grounded, a lot of earth in them. So they're the lazier ones. They're the ones who can sit forever and they gain weight really easily. Pittas are always the ones who are always losing a lot of weight because they have a lot of fire in them. And then Vatas, like I said, they're very airy. So they're all about the air. They're always in their minds, up in the air. So that's the kind of personality type. You can go online and you can do tests which will tell you which your personality type is. And then what it does is that you can actually use that in order to figure out how should I eat? What kind of food should I eat? What kind of food should I avoid? When should I be sleeping? What kind of exercises should I be doing? How much water should I be drinking? All that stuff. And so it kind of gives you a little bit of a guideline based on this 5,000-year-old system. I just trust it more because I'm from India and, it's my heritage. But obviously there's so many different ways of looking at this, right?
Oh, well, that's a few questions. Whereabouts in India are you from?
I'm from Rajasthan. I don't know if you know. It's a desert area in the middle of India.
Is that near Chennai at all?
No, it's not. It's actually further north, so it's close to the north.
Right. Okay. Okay. All right. With regards, have you written a blog or anything of sort like that with regards to these personalities?
No, I haven't actually. That's a good idea. I've never even thought about it. I just assumed everyone knew about it, and it was just like a. I will write a blog post out for this, and I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, I want to include it in the description.
All right,
because it sounds cool. I'm just curious, just a quick side note, because you mentioned that these personalities determine your diet. Does it have any? When you say the diet, you mean like sattvic diet, or just what kind of diet in general?
Yes.
Or?
Yes, brilliant. I'm glad that you actually know about that. The sattvic means that you're balancing yourself out, right? So different people will have a different sattvic diet to balance themselves out. For me specifically, because I'm Vata, I have to avoid a lot of bitter foods. I can have bitter, sour foods because it doesn't mesh well with my personality. It'll make me more Vata, which is not good. In order to balance myself out, I have to eat warm foods. I have to eat like stews and soups, and I have to avoid raw foods. For someone who's Kapha, because they're already very grounded, they don't need to eat a lot of soups and stews. What they need to eat is bitter stuff, a lot of raw food. That'll help them become more sattvic, more balanced. And the same thing with Pitta. So different body types require different foods to balance their body types out. So you always want to go back to center, right? You always want to go back to balance. But different people have to eat differently according to their body type. And that's the reason this is so important to me, because in the past I was always trying to go into a raw vegan diet. I wanted to eat a raw diet. And my Ayurvedic doctor was like, no, you should not do that, because it's going to make you more vata, and you're never going to be grounded, and you're always going to be in your head, and you're never going to be able to do anything properly, because you're always going to be running around. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, balance, duality. With regards to, I had a question. Oh yeah, these different personalities, Kapha, Pitta, and Vata. What would you search on, say, Google to find the personality test to find out which one you are?
So it's just called the Ayurvedic body type. So AYURVEDIC, Ayurvedic body type. If you just Google that, it'll come up. That's the first thing that comes up, is these body types. And then they'll have tests on there that will show you what you are specifically. Most people are, a combination of two. So I'm sometimes more Pitta than Vata, but some people are just Vata, some people are just Pitta. Most people, though, are going to be a combination of two. And some people, very rarely, are actually a combination of all three. So that's really interesting when that happens. For them specifically.
I'm just going back a tiny bit as well. You mentioned that your doctor said that you shouldn't. Oddly enough, your doctor gave you some interesting and good advice, unlike a lot of doctors out in the world. They said that don't have too much of the raw vegan diet. But what was that doctor called again? What was that?
He was an Ayurvedic doctor, so he actually is specializing in Ayurvedic diets, and he is doing the sattvic kind of balance for people. So it's the Pancha Karma. That's what it's called, Pancha Karma. And that's a system that's based, again, on the Ayurvedic system. It's the 5 karmas. The 5 pancha means 5, pancha karma. And so they base all of their teachings and learnings and doctoring on those 5 tenets, trying to balance people out. And again, if you Google pancha karma, Pancha karma, then you'll be able to learn more about that as well. A lot of people come to Kerala and to India to get this kind of Ayurvedic treatment and to balance themselves out by using all these panchakarma treatments. It's really, really interesting.
I'm just very curious. Have you written a blog about that? I want to add that in the description.
I will add that in. I'm so sorry. I just assume, you know what it is? I'm from India, and everyone in India knows this stuff, so I assume everyone knows it, and it's just not interesting to anyone. But I'll write something about it.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. We're sharing the knowledge, do it justice.
Yes, I would love to share.
I only discovered all this stuff lately. We're in August now. Probably over the course of the past 4 or so months, started to realise this stuff drip feeding it bit by bit. No,
thank you. And thank you for letting me know that. I'll definitely write something on it.
Probably the most complicated thing that I know is the 8 legs. I can't remember what it's called. There's a long word, something. I can't remember. The 8 legs of, like, you're understanding yourself, and there's different. There's the difference between intelligence and breath and the mind, and all the rest. But when it comes to things like who am I, it's just a case of how do you remove ignorance to expand your conscience. So it's like, well, just tell me how to remove ignorance, please. Right. And we'll get on to it, and then okay, and then we're a step closer to being enlightened and expanding the conscious.
True.
But just going back, generally taking a step back. With regards to these different Ayurvedic body types and the meditation, what does all this mean? And applying the Sanskrit principles like, what was the word now? Advaita, not Advaita. Anyway.
Ayurveda.
Ananda. Yeah. So applying these kind of principles and all these teachings that you advocate, what does this mean for your life? Well, people who don't know anything about this, or people who are completely new to spirituality in general, or think spirituality and religion are the same thing. What does all this mean for them in terms of lifestyle and livelihood and money and success and relationships? What does all this mean, and how can that help people?
Basically what it means is that most of us are wearing all of these masks on top of what we actually are, right? We walk around wearing 1,000 masks because first of all, we don't know who we truly are. So we're wearing the masks based on what people told us we are. Our parents told us, this is who you are. All right, I'm going to put on the mask because I don't really know who I am. But that's the reason we go and do all this spirituality work. That's the reason we go to yoga. That's the reason we go meditate. Because what it does is that it kind of little by little unsmudges and removes all these masks off of us. So it removes one mask today and then another layer tomorrow and another layer tomorrow. And then eventually, hopefully eventually, you'll be able to see who you truly are underneath all those masks. And perhaps you won't like who you are at first because you're like, oh, this is not who I actually want to be. I want to be something different. But eventually what you're going to do is you're going to start loving and learning who you are. What do you want to be on this planet? What do you want to do actually? Why are you here? And what is your purpose in life? Until you know who you truly are, all of the purposes that you have are based on someone else's guidelines for you. It's not based on something that you want. It's based on someone else telling you, this is what you should do because you're going to make a lot of money, or this is what you should do because you seem like you're good at public speaking. Things people tell us, and then we do it based on people telling us what we're good at. But once we go deep within ourselves using all these techniques, we learn that this is who I am. This is not who I really am, but this is what I am. I love sitting at home and reading. I don't want to go out and party, but my friends all wanted to party, so I went and partied with them. Now I can actually sit by myself at home and feel all right about it because this is who I am and I'm all right with who I am right now in this moment. Obviously, that'll change as time goes on, but as long as you can be here with yourself, you'll be able to be more coherent. You know more about what you're supposed to be doing. All of these messages and signs and signals are going to come at you telling you, this is what you're supposed to be doing if you want to be truly alive on this planet, truly, authentically alive.
Yeah, fascinating you should say that, because yesterday, 24 hours ago, I was just recording a video that's going to be released at the end of August or early September for YouTube. And I talk about this mistake that I made, in a monetary, financial mistake that I made in 2009, 10, and 11. And I talk about how, because I wasn't essentially, translating into like your vocabulary, because I wasn't in tune with who I really was, my talents, abilities, skills, understanding who I was, I missed out on a big opportunity. And the way I describe it is that the ancient Greeks had this philosophy called the golden mean, and it's not too hot, not too cold. The perfect number, which I believe is also the origin or something like that to do with the Fibonacci spiral. That number, that golden mean, is 1.61. And what it means is, what I understand that as is when you understand who you are, what I describe it as the perfect you, then you are doing what you want to do, doing your mission, fulfilling your life. I found that years ago I was distracted. In hindsight, I was distracted by college, university, school, other commitments. Every day going to school, all day, whatever, and university, deadlines and homework and all the rest. It was a distraction from able to be sat down and think. And just think, who am I? What am I doing? What do I want to be known for? What do I want to do with the rest of my life? And then in September, in the spring of 2016, it then started to really come to fruition. Like, what do I want to be known for? What do I want to do? Shall I write a book? And shall I go that? Am I really creative? All that kind of stuff. And every now and then, even yesterday, I was having it and thinking, is this still the right course? Self-evaluation, self-reflection all the time. Is this the right course? Is this what I want to do with my life? And just being aware. It's like, am I doing the right thing? How can I refine my strategy, the day-to-day activities, based on new realizations to who I am, new ideas that I've recently come. Or strategies that I've recently uncovered, and think, how can I apply them into the cycle and the rhythm of what I'm doing, and how at the same time making it all applicable as to who I am and what I want to do. Because there was a quote by Mark Twain that said, if I can get it right off the top of my head, there are two important days in your life. One of them is the day you were born, another day is the day you realize why you were born. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, don't realize what they want to do with their life, which is why I wanted to start this channel, because become remarkable, helping 1 million entrepreneurs become remarkable. In economics, it's called human capital, helping people fulfill that human capital. So I really didn't want to waste that, having no regrets. So that was my underlying principle, and that births all this stuff that I'm doing now, and its own niches and specializations. And now it's like, I'm missing the point. I forgot the point now, but it's yeah, I agree. It's understanding who you are and what you're doing. Very important for everything.
Absolutely. For entrepreneurs, specifically, like you said, remarkable entrepreneurs, I think most of us focus mostly on money, don't we? I mean, we think that we're going to make $1 million. That's when we are successful. Adrian. But I don't think that's the truth, right? I don't think the money will eventually matter anyways because you're not going to take it with you. But if you're able to create a business that really matters to you and who you are, then can you imagine like how much more powerful that would be? Like that would be beautiful. Like that's the kind of life I want to live.
I agree. I see your point, and I partially agree. I also disagree because you say you can't take the money with you. That's true, but you see, your actions will reverberate throughout history. So the things you do today, even though it's short-lived, will be talked about and impact generations to come. A damn good example is Jesus Christ. Also, another example is those two gurus in India. One of them is like Sri Ramasasa. When he died, the comet flew over.
No? I don't know which one you're talking about.
All right, but also there's another guru up north, and he's very grumpy. Yeah, I don't know the name. Perhaps. But the point is, even when you do pass away, the actions you do and the consequences you create, those are going to continue along. Steve Jobs is a good example. When he died, the whole world went in mourning, similar with Princess Diana. And you talk about the money, yeah, it's true. You can't take it with you, but that can be passed on, a legacy. What's the word now? An estate that gets passed on. That it's inheritance tax and all this other complications. So if that gets passed on, people can use that, and then they can do, in theory, then they can do even bigger things, or they can do just as great things, but in their own way. It gives someone else a potential to do stuff. So I don't like to focus on the money, personally. So this is why I agree with you, because it's like the money will come anyway. If you have the vision, the purpose, the strategy, the audience, the route to market, etc., etc., then you'll get the money automatically. Provide more service, provide more of a solution, you get more of it back anyway. But I understand, however, also from a financial and economic point of view, it's important, nitty-gritty. It's like the bottom line. Is it working? Is this what you're doing working? Yeah, okay, good. Scale it, fine-tune it, blah, blah.
I agree completely.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. So, in the meantime, though, what is it you're working on? What is it you're doing?
In the meantime, right now, at this point in time?
Well, yeah, what you're working on now?
So right now I'm doing, like I said, a lot of writing. I'm actually working on a novel right now based on the caste system in India. My family's from a very low caste in India, from the untouchable caste. And so there's a lot of stuff in my family and my ancestors have to deal with, and I'm kind of writing a fiction novel based on that, based on my mom's and dad's life and how they, brought themselves up in this world. So I'm doing that. It's one of my main projects right now. Of course, I'm podcasting and writing on a daily basis, like always. And then I'm working on a specific video course right now for morning routines. So how to build your morning routine and how to stay and stick with your morning routine. So I'm filming that course throughout this month.
Oh, interesting. With regards to your novel, has that got a spirituality level to it, or is it just purely on like just family history and culture and like counter?
Definitely a lot of spirituality. Everything I write has spirituality with it because everything that I do and am is spirituality, right? So I can't take it out of the equation. It's very hard for me, but when I'm writing, the characters are very spiritual and there's a lot of conversations about God and does God exist, and if God existed, would caste system really exist, and why does this kind of inequality exist if God is pure and kind and the way that we imagine him to be and all that stuff. So definitely that comes into play as well, just in the form of questions and doubts. So much doubt because why would the caste system exist? Why would I be an untouchable if God thinks that everyone is equal on this planet? Why am I less equal than someone else? So all this stuff will definitely come into it, yeah.
Oh, interesting. So out of curiosity, then, why do you think people are less equal then? Why do you think that is the case?
I don't think that... So I think the reason why we're less equal or in certain people's minds is because we separate ourselves from everyone else. I think that I am Shikha and you are Adrian and we're separate human beings and we're not related to each other at all. You are you and I am I, right? But if you actually look at quantum mechanics, if you look at energy systems, if you go back into the vibrations of things, everything is energy and everything is empty space. We are all nothing and we're all something. And so we are all connected in some way. And this chair I'm sitting on is connected to me because you don't know where an electron is in space. I mean, I'm not going to go into the details of quantum mechanics. If you really go into the details of it, you can figure out that everything is exactly the same and we're all just one person. But if we go into the ego aspect of things, which is where human beings are functioning from right now, then you are you and I am I, and we're separate. And so you're better than me, or I'm better than you, and you're worse than me, I'm worse. There's always these comparisons that we're making from the ego perspective.
So would it be right in saying that ego is what makes us all different and what makes us all unique and what separates us?
In actually, in a good way, sometimes it separates us out. I mean, I wouldn't be able to create my stuff and you wouldn't be able to create your podcast or all the writing that you're doing if we didn't have our separate selves, right? We need our separate selves, but we also have to realize, just like balance, realize that just because I'm writing this and you're writing that doesn't mean that we're writing something two separate things. We're basically creating this big work of art. You know, all of us are all contributing to knowledge, this huge thing of knowledge. We're all contributing to it in our own way. So I'm not doing something separate from you. We're all just doing exactly the same thing in our different ways. So we're all the same, but we're just doing it in a different format, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I see your point. We're all unique in our own way. But speaking of knowledge and your podcast, what is that all about? What's happening there? What's the conversations happening there?
A lot of my podcast is about me on this journey as an entrepreneur and all of the doubts and anxieties and frustrations and fear that I have to deal with on a daily basis because of the fact that sometimes, you feel alone and you're on your own, obviously. And I'm on my own here as well in Chiang Mai, away from my family, away from friends, doing my own thing every single day. And so there's a lot of stuff that comes up. And so I try as much as possible to share all those emotions on my podcast. So share all of those frustrations, fear, anxiety as much as possible in the different formats. So I'll talk about it. I'll talk about how I dealt with it. I'll talk about what I'm feeling and how it's affecting my business, things like that.
Yeah, I must include a link to that in the description in the video.
Oh, thank you.
And speaking of video, you mentioned a video course where it's like the morning rituals.
Yes.
What can you tell me about that, please?
One of the main reasons my life kind of switched over from how I lived in the past, which is not very well at all, to where I live right now, I'm living my ideal life, is because I started doing morning routines. I set up a really good and strict morning routine where I would get up and I'd meditate and I'd journal and I'd do yoga. And because of that morning routine, I've been able to do so much more and I've been able to change my life completely all the way around. And I really want to share that with the world, so I'm creating this video course on Udemy, Udemy, and I'm going to put it on there, and hopefully people will take it on, and hopefully people will start their own morning routines, because I think that's one of the, even if it's like a 5-minute routine, it's the most important thing you can do. Start off your day right.
Yeah, so speaking of starting off your day, what kind of advice do you recommend?
I recommend.
What habits do you recommend forming for the morning? What's your opinion? What's your thoughts?
I think the most important routine or habit that you can start off with, for me, is meditation or a mindfulness practice. Something related to where you're being present in the moment with your breath, with your body, for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, every morning. If you could just start off with that, that's the most important thing I think you can do for the rest of your life and for your future self. Because that will kind of cascade into everything else in your life. You're going to get healthier, you're going to get less stressed, you're going to become more creative. There's so many amazing aspects and benefits of meditation. So it kind of cascades into everything, every part of your life.
Yeah, I've heard. I have a good friend of mine, and we have scheduled some time to do 25 minutes of meditation. Mm-hmm. I meditate myself on the odd occasion, but it's like my way. I've not really done any research into it or structure. It's just that I'll put some music on, whether it's Kundalini music or meditation music, or the universal Om thing, or I'll just experiment, see which one is nicer and all the rest, and just sit in silence, thinking, and slowly just first just purely thinking about what I'm doing, so it's rather erratic, the awareness and the conscience. Then over time just slows down, just I'm thinking about more specific things or thinking slower or whatever, and it just slows down more, eventually stops. And then it just time goes by quite fast, as you understand. And then before you know it, it's 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes is gone. But I like to just ease it down, just think. I also like to use it as an exercise to reflect on what the hell I'm doing. And just think, and just just take a step back and think: Am I doing the right thing? What do I do? What am I missing? What do I don't know? What mistakes am I making? Stuff like that. So
that's brilliant. I love that.
I also heard that when you do the meditation, you have to sit not on a yoga mat. A certain kind of material, wood. I've heard is good.
Oh, really? I actually sit on my bed and I meditate there. So it doesn't really matter. Like I really don't think it matters where you sit as long as you sit every single day. So make it as easy for yourself as possible, because if you make it complicated, and if you're going somewhere to meditate or you're going to do all that stuff, you're not going to do it. And you're going to stop. And then that's not useful. So sit wherever it's possible. Lie on your bed if that's working for you. Sit on a chair. Sit how you want to, but do it every single day. Like actually meditate every day, because that's the thing that matters most. So I don't know about the wood thing.
Well, what I just described to you about my meditation, am I doing the right thing, or is that like could do something else, or try this instead, or what do you recommend?
I think that you're doing absolutely perfectly. The only thing I would add is perhaps, and this would work for you or perhaps not, is maybe follow your breath a little bit, because breath is literally life and it really helps us connect to our bodies. And so when you're following your breath, so when you're breathing in and out, notice that air going into your body and then coming out of your body. Perhaps you can notice your chest rising or your belly rising, whatever part of your body you want to focus on. But focus on your breath, because that really brings us back here into the present moment. If you're focusing on your breath, there's nothing else that you can focus on. It's very hard to focus on your breath and focus on something else. It's like you can't hold two thoughts at the same time. Same thing with the breath. When you're focusing on your breath, you're really focused on the present moment. It really brings you back here into the now, into your body, into the spiritual side of things.
Oh, interesting. Okay, wow. I see your point there. I was just thinking slowing down over time. Yeah, focus on the breath. That will really help to phase out all the thoughts.
Exactly.
Have you heard of a guru called Dandapani?
Dandapani? I don't think so.
The monk with the MacBook. That's it.
No, I've never heard of that. No.
I believe he's got a TEDx talk or a TED talk about consciousness and awareness. I was just curious if you'd heard of him, that's all. Just curious in general.
No, unfortunately, I'm actually on a very low information diet, so I don't go online that often. I don't listen to a lot of TED Talks or podcasts or read blog posts, because I'm focused on creating rather than consuming right now at this moment in time. So I missed out on a lot of stuff. People ask me, have you seen this? I'm like, I don't know. I haven't seen anything in a long time, unfortunately.
And that information, how did you describe it?
Low information diet.
Low information diet. Oh, that's interesting. What does that entail?
So you know how you said that basically all of us have so much information coming at us all the time, and you probably are doing so many different things at the same time, right? What happens with human beings is that, again, we can only hold one bit of, or we can only get one bit of information at a time, right? We're very limited in what we can take in, but we're always consuming information on a daily basis, right? And so what I find is when I'm on a low information diet, I'm able to really come back into the present moment. I'm able to relax and be mindful. Otherwise, I'm always thinking, I'm always comparing myself to the person. I'm always thinking about all the different things I have to do. I feel like I have shiny object syndrome. I'm going and I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to watch this, I have to do this, I have to go here. And I never ever sit down, and I'm never present, and I'm always never still. But when I'm on a low information diet, I can just be here, and I can be with myself, and I can spend my time creating my stuff that comes from within me rather than being tainted by all the other stuff that's out there. I hope it makes sense to you. I don't know if I'm explaining properly.
Yeah, it sounds like a digital detox.
Exactly. But a long-term one, not just a day or a weekend, but in general. Not that I'm saying I don't go online. Obviously, I'm online right now with you, and I'm online for a lot of different things. My Facebook page is online. My business is online. So I'm online quite often, but I have no emails coming into my inbox. I've unsubscribed to everything. And my Facebook feed is really, really small. So I've unsubscribed to everything. I've unfollowed everything. And I'm really, really specific. I have perhaps 2 or 3 people that I really follow and listen to. And I go online and just look at that for 10 minutes a day, and that's all. And then I come back and do my own stuff. I write my own things, and I focus on my stuff.
Yeah, as a quick side note, you mentioned mindfulness. I remember reading an article that in the UK, some schools, or 1 or 2 schools, or a handful, are starting to teach children, I don't know, age 10, for example, about mindfulness. I can't think of any particular criticisms to it, but there are bound to be some people that are totally against that, or ignorant enough to not know any different, or anything, good intentions, but they don't know what they're arguing against. What do you say to people out there that don't appreciate mindfulness, or don't appreciate spirituality, or are critics of it? I think some would say that's a waste of time. What do you say to those people, and what do you say to that as an argument?
I want to, for those people who actually say that, I want you guys or those people to actually sit down for a minute or 2 minutes and actually see how your mind whirls and moves through all the different thoughts. Literally, when we're sitting and we have these monkey minds, they're called, and we're sitting and we'll be thinking about, I like chocolate. And then 10 minutes later, you're thinking about, Arnold Schwarzenegger or Terminator or something. Like your mind bounces from place to place and thought to thought. So I'm telling everyone, sit down and try to keep your mind steady and stable. Try to keep your mind on one thought. And I bet you won't be able to do that. But if you had a mindfulness practice, you would be able to stay with one thought and be able to be with one thought for a long period of time. And your mind wouldn't bounce from thing to thing. That is actually really important, because as an entrepreneur, you really need to be focused. And what most entrepreneurs do is that they move from idea to idea, task to task. They don't ever get anything done. And then they complain about the fact that they haven't gotten anything done, or they're procrastinating. But if the mindfulness practice, you'll be able to come back to these thoughts, and you'll be able to be calm in the present moment, and you will be able to stick with each task until you finish it. I find that I'm 10 times more productive now with my mindfulness practice, because I don't bounce around all the time. I don't pick up my phone all the time to check what's going on. I don't go to Facebook checking what's going on. I do my work. I'm here right now doing my work. I'm not bouncing around everywhere. And in that itself, I think, is the most important thing that anyone can do. It's the most important thing, to stay here right now.
Yeah, helping people to focus and think. I used to think of the now. People, that's what I really old saying that I realized years ago. It's interesting how all the stuff is like embedded in some people, and it's like, when I was 10, I used to say think of the now. And now I put that into concept and conceptualize that. I mean, be conscious of what you're doing now, and be conscious of your, today, now, as opposed to being anxious or worried or excited or whatever. Just think of the now. So helping people to focus.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, as we begin to wrap this up, what is next for you? What is next for you exactly? Just the books and the video courses and the podcasts?
I think I'm just going to keep on doing this for the next 2-3 years and keep on putting stuff out there. I just wanted to stick with it and be consistent with it. I don't want to stop doing something right now, because everything is just, I feel like there's momentum built in my life right now, in my business and my personal life. I just want to keep on going with it, keep on working on it as much as possible, as long as possible.
Yeah, definitely a consistency. I was watching, an old interview a few days ago. I don't know who it was, but some guru. And he said that he was being interviewed by some Indian television. I don't know what it was called either. And he said there's 3 C's to success, or what he understood and interpreted what the world's view of success was. And it was commitment, consistency, and cooperation. So okay. Consistency.
Definitely.
2 to 3 years. Yeah. Roughly the same time for me as well for this, although this will be an ongoing thing, and just this will be part of something bigger as well. So yes. Definitely consistent. Now, what are the best ways for the audience to get in touch with you?
The best way definitely would be my blog, my website. It's called The Millionaire, themillionairehippie.com. And I think everything, all my podcasts, my Instagram, everything links off of that. So if you just go on to themillionairehippie.com, you'll be able to get everything related to me.
Yeah, I'll include those in the link in the description below.
Thank you so much.
But Shikha, it was great having you on the show.
I'm so grateful that you got me on the show. Thank you so much. I loved your questions. You're so insightful. I really appreciated it.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. That means a lot. But, ladies and gentlemen at home, if you haven't already, click on the subscribe button below. And also, while you're there, you might as well press the bell notification that's right next to it for the latest uploads. Because this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. So go out there today and do something remarkable. How cool is that?